You're alone in a room. Nobody is looking at you. And then, out of nowhere, you feel it. A prickle at the back of your neck. A weight between your shoulder blades. The unmistakable bone-deep certainty that someone somewhere is watching you. You turn around. There's nothing there. Empty hallway, empty corner, just you. So you tell yourself it was nothing. Your imagination. A little glitch. You go back to what you were doing. But here's the thing. That feeling you just brushed off, that was not a malfunction. That was one of the oldest, most powerful, most sophisticated warning systems on the entire planet firing exactly the way it was built to fire. It has been quietly protecting your bloodline for millions of years, long before your name, long before language, long before anything you would recognize as human. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly what it is, where it lives inside your skull, and the genuinely unsettling reason it would rather scare you 1,000 times for nothing than stay silent even once. Because when you feel eyes on the back of your neck, something ancient just woke up, and it thinks you're being hunted. Let's go. But before we go deeper, let me ask you something. And I actually want you to answer this one in the comments. Have you ever felt watched, turned around, and there was someone there actually staring right at you? Or worse, felt it and never found out what it was? Drop a 1 or a 2 below. 1 if you caught them. 2 if you never did. I promise the split is going to surprise you. Start with the raw machinery, because this is where it gets strange. Your brain has a dedicated system just for detecting when something is looking at you, not a vague feeling, a specific hardwired circuit. Deep in a fold of your brain called the superior temporal sulcus, there are cells whose entire job, their one purpose in existence, is to answer a single question. Are those eyes pointed at me? These are not general-purpose neurons. They fire when a gaze is locked onto you, and they go quiet when that same gaze slides just a few degrees to the side. Scientists have recorded these cells directly. They found neurons that light up for eyes staring straight at you, and different neurons that light up for eyes looking away. Your brain treats being looked at and not being looked at as 2 completely different events, processed by 2 different sets of hardware. Think about how much your brain cares about something to build a dedicated detector for it. You don't have a dedicated detector for the color of leaves or the shape of clouds, but you have one for this, for eyes, for being seen, and it is fast. Faster than thought, faster than you can consciously decide anything. That system is running underneath your awareness every second you're awake, silently scanning every face, every window, every shadow, for one specific signal, the geometry of a stare. When it finds one, even a hint of one, it doesn't politely wait for permission. It reaches straight down into your body and pulls the alarm. And that's the prickle. That's the neck. That's the feeling. So what exactly is it protecting you from? To understand that, we have to go back. Way back. Picture one of your ancestors. Not a caveman with a spear yet. Further back than that. A small, soft, slow primate crouched in the tall grass of an ancient world. No claws worth mentioning. No fangs. Can't outrun anything that matters. In that world, being looked at was almost never good news. A direct stare from across the grass meant one of exactly 2 things. Either another creature was sizing you up as a threat, or something with teeth had already chosen you as its next meal. In both cases, the correct response was the same. Notice it now. Because here's the brutal math that built your brain. A predator's stare is the last quiet moment before the charge. The lion locks on before it moves. The leopard fixes its eyes before it drops from the branch. The stare comes first. The attack comes second, which means any animal that could feel that stare, that could sense those eyes a half-second before the muscles exploded into motion, got a half-second head start. And in the space between life and death, half a second is everything. It's the difference between a bloodline that continues and one that simply stops. So generation after generation, the ones who felt watched and reacted lived. The ones who needed to actually see the predator first, who waited for proof, they died before they could pass on their calm, skeptical genes. You are not descended from the relaxed ones. You are descended from 10,000 generations of the paranoid, the twitchy, the ones who spun around at nothing. That crawling feeling on your neck right now is your inheritance from every ancestor who survived long enough to have you. Quick question before the next layer, and be honest in the comments. Are you the type who checks the backseat of your car before you get in? Yes or no? I have a theory about you, and I'll tell you if I'm right by the end. Now here's where a lot of videos would lie to you. They'd tell you that you have some mystical sixth sense, that you can literally feel a stare through the back of your skull like an invisible beam. So let's be honest, because the truth is actually more impressive than the myth. When researchers put this to a real test, they sat people down and had someone stare at the back of their head from behind, sometimes looking, sometimes not. No mirrors, no reflections, no clues. And people could not tell. Their guesses were basically a coin flip. So no, you cannot feel a pure stare hitting the back of your head through thin air. That part is not real. But don't relax yet, because this is where it gets genuinely creepy. In the real world, you are almost never getting zero information. Your senses are vacuuming up a flood of tiny signals every second, and most of them never reach your conscious mind. The faint scuff of a shoe that stops the instant you pause. A shadow that shifts at the very edge of your vision. A reflection in a dark window you didn't know you registered. The sudden, unnatural silence of a room that was making small sounds a moment ago. Your conscious brain misses all of it, but the ancient system underneath does not miss. It catches the signal, adds it up, and delivers the verdict as a feeling, not a fact. So you don't get the words, "There is a person 40 feet behind you, angled slightly to your left." You just get the neck. You get the dread. Your brain has done the math in the basement and only sent the alarm bell upstairs. That's why the feeling arrives before you know why. That's why you turn around already scared. And this is the part that should give you pause, because it means the feeling is often right, just not for the magical reason you assumed. You picked up something real. You just picked it up in a language older than words. Have you ever turned around and been right? Tell me below. I read these. Let's talk about the eyes themselves, because humans are hiding a strange, almost self-sabotaging secret. Look at the eye of a wolf, a lion, almost any predator. The area around the pupil is dark. You genuinely cannot tell exactly where a lion is looking from a distance, and that is on purpose. A hunter that hides its gaze keeps the element of surprise. Now look at a human eye in a mirror. You have a bright white sclera, that pure white surrounding your colored iris. We are the only primate with eyes like this. Bright, exposed, high-contrast whites that broadcast the exact direction of our gaze to anyone who glances at us. Think about how bizarre that is. Every other animal that survives by hunting hides where it's looking. We do the opposite. We advertise it. From across a room, another human can tell in an instant whether you're looking at them, past them, or slightly above their head. Scientists call this the cooperative eye idea. The theory is that early humans became so dependent on teamwork, on silently coordinating a hunt with a glance, on reading a warning in a friend's eyes, that we evolved eyes designed to be read. We traded the predator's poker face for the ability to speak an entire silent language with a look. And here's how deep that wiring runs. Researchers ran a now-famous experiment. They put an honesty box in a break room where people paid for coffee on trust, and above it, they taped a small picture. Some weeks it was a photo of flowers. Other weeks, just a pair of human eyes. Nothing else changed. No cameras, no people, no rules. And yet, in the weeks with the eyes on the wall, people paid nearly 3 times as much for their coffee. A picture. A drawing of eyes that couldn't see anything. That was enough to make grown adults behave as if they were being watched. That is how hair-triggered this system is. It doesn't even need real eyes. The suggestion of a gaze is enough to reach into your behavior and change it. Now, be honest with yourself in the comments. Would a poster of eyes on the wall make you a little more honest? Because the science says yes, and most people hate admitting it. But that gift comes with a cost, a permanent, built-in vulnerability. Because now everyone can see where you're looking, your brain has to assume everyone can see where they're looking too. And so it obsesses over eyes. It hunts for them everywhere. This is why 2 dots in a line can look like a face. This is why you feel a portrait's eyes follow you across a room. This is why a single glowing pair of eyes in the dark can stop your heart cold before you've consciously registered anything at all. Your gaze detector doesn't wait to be sure. It would rather be wrong 100 times than miss the one stare that ends you. And that, right there, is the secret to the whole thing. It's a principle so important that it quietly runs your entire nervous system, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Imagine you're building a smoke alarm for a house. You have 2 ways to get it wrong. It can go off when there's no fire, annoying but harmless. Or it can stay silent when the house is actually burning and everyone inside dies. Those 2 mistakes are not equal. One costs you a jump scare and a few seconds. The other costs you everything. So how sensitive do you build the alarm? You build it hair trigger. You make it scream at burnt toast, at a hot shower, at a candle across the room. You accept 1,000 false alarms because the one time it's real, it saves every life in the building. Your brain made that exact same deal about eyes, except it made it over 2 million years, and it made it in blood. Every one of your ancestors who ignored the feeling and was right saved a little energy. Every ancestor who ignored the feeling and was wrong died and vanished from the timeline. Being scared for nothing costs almost nothing. Being calm at the wrong moment costs your entire future. So evolution set the dial as far toward paranoia as it could possibly go. That's why you feel watched in an empty room. That's why the mannequin in the dark store makes your stomach drop. That's why you can't shake the sense of eyes in the forest even when you know, rationally, that you are completely alone. The system is not broken when it fires at nothing. Firing at nothing is the entire point. It's a smoke alarm for predators, and it was calibrated by 100,000 years of ancestors who did not get a second chance. Would you rather have it quieter and be wrong the one time it mattered? Think about that. Tell me in the comments. And if this is already crawling up your spine a little, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button, because the next few layers are the ones that genuinely changed how I walk into a room. I promise it's worth it. Now let's push into something darker. It's not just eyes. Your brain is watching for attention itself, and attention has a shape. Predators don't just look at prey, they orient. The whole body angles in. The head steadies. The movement stops. Stillness, in nature, is one of the most dangerous things there is. A relaxed animal is safe. A frozen animal is aiming. Your ancient system knows this. It's not only scanning for eyes, it's scanning for that sudden wrongness in a scene. The one shape in the crowd that isn't moving with the flow. The car that slows when everything else speeds up. The figure at the far end of the street who stopped exactly when you stopped. You may not consciously notice any of it, but the basement operator does, and it yanks the cord. This is why a crowded place can suddenly feel threatening for no reason you can name. Somewhere in that sea of faces, one of them locked on and held, and the oldest part of you caught it. And watch what your body does with that information, because it doesn't ask your permission. The hair on your arms stands up. That's a reflex older than humanity itself, a leftover from when your ancestors had thick fur and puffed it up to look bigger to whatever was watching. Your heart rate jumps, your pupils widen, your muscles preload with a hit of adrenaline, getting you ready to run or fight before your conscious mind has decided anything is even wrong. This is the freeze that comes first, that half second where you go completely still. Because in the deep past, stillness bought you time. A frozen animal is hard to track, and a frozen animal is listening. Your body freezes you so the ancient system can take one more sweep of the room before it decides whether you live or die. You felt that freeze, that instant where you couldn't move. That wasn't fear making you weak. That was a 2 million-year-old program taking the wheel. There's a specific version of this that almost everyone has felt. You're in a room full of people, music, noise, a dozen conversations. And through all of it, all that chaos, you suddenly feel a single point of attention land on you. You look up across the entire room, and your eyes go straight to the one person who was already looking. How? How did you find them instantly in all that noise? Because your brain never stopped searching. Under the conversation, under the music, under your own thoughts, that silent radar was sweeping the room the entire time, looking for exactly one thing. The moment it found a stare aimed at you, it interrupted everything to tell you. Has this happened to you? I already know it has. And once you know this system is there, you start noticing it everywhere in ordinary life. That prickle when someone is reading over your shoulder, before you've heard a single sound. The strange tension of standing in an elevator with a stranger behind you, your whole back suddenly aware of itself. The instinctive glance up on a train, certain that the person across the aisle is looking and being right. The way you can somehow tell a room full of people just turned to look at you the moment you walked in. None of these are coincidences, and none of them are you being self-conscious. They are the same ancient circuit firing in a modern setting, doing the exact job it was built for 2 million years ago, just with commuters and coworkers instead of leopards and wolves. Your brain genuinely cannot tell the difference. To the detector, a stranger's stare on a quiet train and a predator's stare in the tall grass are the same shape, the same threat, the same alarm. So here's my honest question for you, and I want a specific answer in the comments. What is the single situation where you feel watched the most? The elevator? The empty office? Your own bedroom in the dark? Type it below. I have a strong feeling we're all about to discover we share the exact same list. And nowhere does this system run louder than when you're walking alone at night. Think about the last time you did it. An empty street, a dark parking lot, a path through the trees. You weren't in any real danger, statistically, but your whole body was on. You walked a little faster. You held your keys a certain way. You resisted the urge to look behind you, and then you looked anyway. Every rustle turned your head. Every parked car became a question. Here's why. Darkness strips away your single best sense, your vision, the one you rely on above all others, and your brain does not respond to that loss by relaxing. It responds by cranking every other alarm to maximum because the thing your ancestors feared most hunted in exactly these conditions: low light, open ground, a lone target separated from the group. When you feel watched on a dark street, you are standing inside the precise scenario this entire system was built for. It is not overreacting. As far as it's concerned, this is the moment it was born for. So tell me, what's the one place that always makes the back of your neck light up? A specific hallway, a road, a room in your own house? Name it below. I want to see if we all share the same ones. Now let's make it modern, because your ancient hardware is living in a world it was never designed for. For 2 million years, if you felt watched, there was a real pair of eyes and a real body attached to them. Simple. But now you're watched constantly by things that have no eyes at all. A camera in the corner of the store, the little lens at the top of your laptop, your phone sitting face up on the table listening. 1,000 strangers watching a video you posted, their attention landing on you while you sleep. Your brain has no category for this. The system evolved for a stare you could turn around and face, a threat you could run from or fight. It has no idea what to do with a black glass lens that watches without a face, records without blinking, and never, ever looks away. That low, itchy discomfort you feel with a camera pointed at you, that instinct to glance at the webcam and wonder if it's on, that is a 2-million-year-old predator detector trying to make sense of a threat it cannot see, cannot flee, and cannot fight. The eyes are everywhere now, and some ancient part of you knows it and has quietly never stopped bracing. Does the camera on your laptop bother you? Be honest down below. You're not paranoid. You're calibrated. Here's a detail that unsettles me every time. Babies do this before they can do almost anything else. A newborn, just days old, will stare longer at a face that's looking directly at it than at a face turned away. Days old, before it can hold up its own head, before it recognizes its mother's voice with certainty. It already cares, more than almost anything, whether eyes are pointed at it. This is not learned. Nobody taught that baby that eyes matter. It arrived already knowing, because this knowledge is not stored in your memories. It's stored in your blueprint. It's older than you, older than your parents, older than your species. And it never switches off. Not when you're an adult, not when you're safe, not when you're locked inside a modern home with a deadbolt and a security system. The machinery is still down there, still running the same code it ran in the tall grass, still treating a glint in a dark window as a potential set of eyes. You've spent your whole life inside this system and mostly never noticed it, the way you never notice your own heartbeat until someone points it out. So let me point it out. Right now, some part of your brain is checking whether you're being watched. It hasn't stopped once since you were born. Let me pull this together because the picture it paints is genuinely strange. That feeling, the neck, the prickle, the sudden certainty, is not weakness. It's not you being nervous or broken or too sensitive. It is the visible tip of a vast, ancient, and astonishingly accurate machine, a machine that kept every single one of your direct ancestors alive long enough to become your direct ancestors. Every person in your family line, going back millions of years, felt this and acted on it. Not one of them was eaten before they could pass it on. The proof is that you exist to feel it at all. And it leaves you with a genuinely uncomfortable question, one I think about more than I'd like to admit. Your detector is tuned to scream at nothing rather than miss something. It cries wolf constantly on purpose by design. So when you feel those eyes in the empty room, you are almost certainly alone. Almost. But the whole reason the feeling exists, the entire reason it survived 2 million years of evolution, is those rare moments when it was not a false alarm, when there really was something in the dark, when turning around was the only reason your ancestor lived to see morning. Your brain cannot tell you which kind of moment you're in. It can only make you turn around, every single time, just in case. So the next time you're alone and the back of your neck goes cold, and you feel those eyes that can't possibly be there, I want you to remember what you're actually feeling. You're not being crazy. You're not being weak. You are feeling 2 million years of survival reach up through your spine and whisper the oldest sentence your body knows. Someone might be watching. Turn around. And you will. You always do. Because every ancestor who didn't isn't here, and every ancestor who did is the reason you are. Before I let you go, I need your help settling something, because the comment section on this one is going to be a battlefield, and I want it that way. Here's the debate. Team 1 says this feeling is real, that they've felt watched, turned around, and caught someone every single time, that their gut is never wrong. Team 2 says it's all in your head, pure coincidence, that you only remember the hits and forget the 1,000 misses. So which are you? Team 1 or Team 2? Pick a side and defend it below and go argue with someone who picked the other. I'm dead serious. The best argument for each side gets pinned. And while you're deciding, ask yourself the harder question. If your detector really does cry wolf 1,000 times for every one time it's right, then how many times in your life has it been that one time, and you turned around a half second too late to notice what slipped back into the shadows? You'll never know. That's the whole horror of it. The successes feel exactly like the failures. A quiet room, a cold neck, and nothing there. Or nothing there anymore. If you made it this far, you're my kind of person, the kind who wants to know how the machine actually works instead of just being scared of it. So do the thing that actually helps this channel survive the algorithm. Hit like if you felt even one chill during this. Subscribe if you want the next deep dive into the ancient survival code still running inside your modern skull. And tell me in the comments about the time you felt it strongest. The creepiest true story gets pinned to the top. Because here's the last thought I'll leave you with. You are the descendant of the ones who always turned around. The nervous ones. The ones who trusted the prickle on their neck over the calm voice in their head that said it's nothing. Every calm, skeptical, unbothered ancestor who felt the eyes and shrugged, their line ended somewhere back in the dark. Yours didn't. You're still here, still feeling it, still turning around. So the next time it happens, don't fight it. Just turn around. It's the reason you exist. And somewhere, very far back, something with teeth is still waiting to find out if you forgot how.